My involvement in the Maritime Heritage Alliance was a desire to be around boats, be around the water, and we all know that everyone in the community should somehow be involved in some sort of a public service. And what better way than to do something that you love? If you do something you love, you're going to do a good job of it.
We feel that the learning process that was engendered by this project is probably one of the greatest contributions. That is, here we had 165 plus volunteers with very little knowledge of the task to be performed. And we had welders, we had cable splicers, we had all kinds of wood people who worked with wood in many different manners. All these talents we were able to harness and combine, and to think that they were all given free gratis, I think established a milestone in the community, if not in the country.
Without Ed Brown doing what he did, and Bob Core sticking to the project for 5 years, and he had no idea it was going to take that long. If either one of those people would have backed out, it would have created a real problem.
If you have 80 units of effort to perform, then Ed, in a loving way, would the next day tell you, let's get those 85 units of effort and do something with them. That's really what made this go.
From a personal standpoint, I've always been interested in maritime history and building of ships. It can be a real unique opportunity to just be a part of building something, to be able to spend your time with a lot of hand tools, spend your time with a lot of people from different stations and walks of life that bring together a lot of different areas of expertise to be building something that you normally don't see being built. And to be able to be part of a whole process of building something this big with a wide variety of people is just something really unique.
My family has a great tradition of schooners. My grandfather built a schooner in Bay City to transport his family and his farm produce to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, where my father started his family, and I was one of 5 children. Spent my time, all my spare time that I could squeeze out of schools and chores, sailing the St. Mary's River.
Money, like any of nonprofit organization, is always a problem, but it's done through a lot of donations. We have sales here that we sell your usual T-shirts and other memorabilia, souvenirs and things. A lot of energy is spent through not only the people you would see here at the yard, but people behind the scenes that are contacting businesses and other people that are interested in maritime history. So this is all done through donations.
Well, back when we built the Gracie L, and it was in 1982, the group started with no money, no assets, and yet with determination and enthusiasm, the Gracie L was built and launched. And after a few years, the group still didn't have any money or real assets, but felt the need to build another boat. So in '85, we stumbled on the story of the Madeline and felt that would be the perfect vessel to build. It was a bigger deal than the Gracie L, and it was it's a statement. It's a 92-foot schooner. It's not the kind of thing you can miss on the waterfront. But the group hadn't really generated any cash or any large assets, so it had no reserves for just starting a vessel like this. But we felt the need for a vessel like this on the waterfront, and at this point in time there were no schooners at all in West Bay. And so we were excited about the notion of having a 92-foot schooner in the bay. Armed with the same enthusiasm and motivation and yet no money, we decided to build the Madeline.
The highlight of each day, I think, was the lunch, especially when it got into the winter months, and we did work most of the winter months, around our stove in the old shack there. And sometimes as many as 14. I remember I brought 10 pounds of venison down one time, and we had 14 or 15 that particular day. But we usually had 5 or 6 people at least, and sometimes more. Visitors would also come in. We'd sit around the stove and tell tall tales. And other than that, we kept pretty busy. In fact, we didn't do a lot of talking when we were working. We had fun working, but the fun was the work and the accomplishment that we were making.
Madeline's twin white pine masts were donated by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources as living trees from the Sand Lakes Quiet area of eastern Grand Traverse County. Seeing the value of the project, the DNR selected 2 prize virgin pines that were growing here even when the original Madeline was sailing. On a snowy day, the task of moving 2 huge virgin pines in one piece from the middle of the woods in the middle of the winter created a memorable adventure. Thanks to the efforts of 2 powerful loaders donated from a local excavation firm, the masts eventually found their way to the construction site.
Just with a fate of luck of some sort, things seem to come in place. Somebody's either going through the yard or knows somebody that has those resources available, and it just seems to get done. And we've seen this in many situations with the materials. You get a piece of specialized equipment that would cost a lot of money, and our finances would be very small, or in that, and through luck, it just seems to happen and come. And this has been the story of this whole project.
When I visit the Madeline these days and think back, then I visualize how everyone put in their personal talent, what they wanted to contribute. I can see John Dost with his face so earnest at what he's doing, and then you look at every person. John was just an example. You look at every person that's there, and somehow you realize that's my friend, because we're playing with the same toys. We're serving the same community.
Some of the things that have happened here is sometimes with the big reversible drills that we use, is sometimes somebody would put it in reverse and get somebody that wasn't familiar and get them one of the long augers and try to drill a hole. But again, sometimes it wasn't so funny also, because you'd be up here on the scaffolding and be stretched straight out, and you'd be pushing on the drill and it wouldn't be drilling. And as a matter of fact, one time the person took the drill bit out and went down and sharpened it and put it back in the drill bit, and man, just pushed and put a bar on it, and was struggling, and it was one of those hot days, and it was sweating, and then finally somebody probably yelled up to him and said, "Hey, why don't you put it in forward speed?" And sure enough, somebody had left the drill in reverse.
It's interesting, of course, to see the construction of a ship, from laying of the keel to the finished product, and the way they adapt new tools to an old trade. It's very interesting to see this, and I enjoy working with the fellas. They're laid back. They're sincere. They're a good group to work with. Conscientious. Just a nice group of fellows. Good environment.